It's crazy how quickly Lucifer's I wouldn't even know, but I just call it behaviors. How fast their behaviors can manifest, and how insane it is, and also sad almost at the same time to think that they think it's working or doing anything but bothering me slightly. At the same time, it's just proving me right, but they don't really see that part because, like I talked about before, they're completely blind to the fact that none of their ideas ever work to get me. And when I say get me, it doesn't really get me. It doesn't get me to turn to Hayden again. It doesn't get me to, well, they're trying. Another one of their missions is to make God hate me, but they don't understand that it's just me. So they're basically trying to make me hate me. If that makes sense. And God knew every single thing that would happen to me when I came down here because it's just me. And yeah, I know I talk in a weird way, but it's kind of for a reason where I wanted to come down in a special way to be who I specifically wanted to be for humans. And Lucifer's almost ruining that because they start thinking they're my dad if I talk about God as being separate but the same as me in a way. Like today, I'm at my storage unit and you have to type in the code and I can hear the the code from here. Or if someone's typing in the code, I can hear it. Beep beep beep, and they're doing like extra numbers on it like twice, and then they're also going like the guy that was walking by kept exaggerating the noises. The relaxing noises he was making, thinking it was like getting me or hurting me. And like I talked about, they can't fathom the fact that what they do to hurt me isn't really hurting me. And they can't fathom the fact that they're not gonna win with what they're doing. Like, imagine if you based your whole life off of something and then it was falling apart and refused to believe that it was falling apart. I mean, they base their whole lives, their whole days. I mean, there's people who get dressed specifically just to annoy me or hurt me. There's people that they're all hive mind. I might as well say it's the same person that devote their whole day just to walk by me and make like make weird noises, thinking they're molesting me or hurting me. There's people who devote their whole days to like trying to accelerate their car a little faster so that they think it's getting me. And by getting me, I mean slightly hurting me. I mean, I don't over and over and over and over and over again every single day, all day for the past 136 days, which is almost 5 months, like 4.5 months, I've proven them wrong. But I mean, me proving them wrong is like proving a schizophrenic wrong or a delusional person wrong. They're not going to budge. Sometimes they do, and I've tried experimental psychology on them that I think hopefully should work, but part of me thinks it almost made it worse, which was part of it, but then it was supposed to make it better, and the better part isn't happening. The worst part did, and it wasn't my fault because they were already delusional and going to hell before, so I didn't really do anything bad to interfere with them. Like interfering with an ecosystem, it's like they were so they base their whole lives off of the fact that they can turn me into Hayden again, and what they're doing is hurting me, and that they're in control of me. Because, I mean, think about Lucifer. They want to be God. That's why I have to be God. I almost would rather live life normally in some weird way, but also, if humans weren't in danger at least, which I think is a humble way to view life. I mean, why would I want to be king if I didn't need to be king? The reason I need to be God, and they probably don't understand that God is equal to king. It's the same thing. And a king would need to be into psychology, understand the brain, understand people, understand human behavior, understand history and politics. And they look at me like my thing would be religion and their thing would be all the other stuff. But they're con artists. It's like, to a human, there's humans that think, well, Satan's in naturalism and humanity and freedom of expression and rights. That's not true. Satan just wants you to sin. Hayden, the body who I took over, felt for the same thing. He felt bad for Satan too. Like, oh, they're just on different sides. Like that. This was his. I'm not literally saying this. I'm saying Hayden thought in his head. I don't know. Maybe the way I talk is confusing. Hayden thought in his head the way Satan is he agrees with human rights and enlightenment and intelligence and knowledge, and God doesn't like knowledge, and God wants humans to be more conservative. It's not a war. Satan wants to give people music, to make them sin and party and destroy themselves. Look up some of the songs by Tom McDonald. The rappers convinced them to ruin their brain. I think it's "Everybody Hates Me" by Tom McDonald. I mean, wait. I don't agree with every single thing he says. I don't agree with every single thing anyone says. Basically, I mean, even I think the most I can get with someone is like 98% of what someone says. I'll agree with, or 95%. Even then, I like to combine it with every single other thing I know and every single other thing that everybody else has said, and I'll combine it into something better, bigger, and better. Sorry, I've had like a throat cold. But yeah, I mean, I always tangent off on these videos recently, but I mean, Lucifer already beep 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 because they even just to slightly annoy me, they'll do it. Like the other day, like some guy was looking at me, almost crying, and like was moving his like clicker like that, trying to think it was molesting me or hurting me, and they don't understand that I'm not Hayden. I knew Hayden's weaknesses, and I knew that he was uncomfortable with them doing that, but I'm not. Not to the extent that they think. It makes me slightly makes me slightly. Even then, I'm almost trying to like give them a bone. Like, yeah, it is hurting when it's not. Like, it sounds like I feel bad for them in some weird, sick, deranged way. I mean, I don't think it's sick and deranged of me to feel bad for them, but I can understand why someone else might think that. That's why I said it like that. But they're evil, they're disgusting, they're pedophiles. But it's like they have the mentality of that of a baby. Like if I do something to them, they'll try and do it to me. And if I say something, they'll try and interrupt me and say it at the same time, thinking that I'll think the same. I'll think that they're saying it to me when I'm saying it to them. I mean, it reminds me of someone in a sad, scared state of delusional denial. Like that, like a twisted version of if someone died. Like they lost their sacrifice. They lost someone they wanted to torture. They lost someone who they loved torturing, and it literally was the meaning of their life. Like, some people that like, what makes me happy is writing music every day. What makes me happy is going to college. What makes me happy is this and that. What makes them happy was torturing Hayden Robert Lonsdale. And I came down from a different universe. People know me as God and Jesus, and there's many different interpretations of me, and misinterpretations and misrepresentations and representations of me all across humanity, because I've been more than just Jesus. I've been more than just God, if that makes sense. Meaning Jesus came down but understands the Hindus. I mean, Krishna, Vishnu, just even what's that one? The one that destroys and recreates the universe. One protects it. One does this. One does that. It's like Exodia. Combine all that, and then give or take, that's what God would be. I mean, I don't want to destroy stuff and recreate it for fun. I mean, but once in a while, things need to be reset, like a rebirth, like the new age, the new earth. I mean, they took what Jesus talks about, a new age, a new heaven, a new earth, and they want to call it the new world order. 33 degrees. I died at 33. They want to be Masons because I was a carpenter. They're childlike. They're like big babies. I mean, like, and then all the stuff that I said for them, like I want to be their doctor, psychologist, I want to test them, but I have to punish them. They're trying to tell people in the cabal and the government that are all probably brainwashed that they're supposed to be doing that to me when they're not. I mean, I appear smaller than them because if they're a hive mind, that's like comparing, like, I mean, think about it. If they see me as one body, even when I'm literally communicating with the environment, and I'll go into that different times. But I mean, I appear to them smaller. I mean, to them, they probably look down at me, even though I'm saying stuff that makes them feel like smaller. I mean, at the same time, as like I said, it's like that's what I would think because I'm studying them slowly, and it's incomprehensible how they view me as someone mentally challenged. I mean, does anyone on this YouTube channel view me as mentally challenged? And excuse the whole thinking Jesus thing, excuse the whole anything else thing, excuse the whole Lucifer thing. I mean, being able to do a psychological analysis, even if it was an imaginary person, which it's not. I mean, I'm actually like, I don't know. I don't know. Do I sound like I'm talking mentally ill? I mean, some of the other political, more human stuff I was talking about, political and human life stuff I was talking about in psychology, did that sound mentally challenged? That sound like my memory was bad? That sound like I have no intelligence or I'm a brain dead person? I don't think so. I mean, and like, it's just crazy. Lucifer is like an insane person. I mean, these are the people who are known as like the snake gods and dragon gods, and there's been other interpretations of them throughout time. I mean, they're the people who built the pyramids, and God led Jews to Jerusalem and Israel. Well, it wasn't Israel then. Instead of pyramids. I mean, they're the evil pyramid people. I mean, I can easily prove to you the Illuminati is real. I could easily prove to you that I have my marks in the music industry too, which is weird. I was like, how? If someone could easily say, how? If you were just a human, how would you do that? And Lucifer just understood the way I talk. I normally would not say, people or you people watch this might say, and then sentence. I would just say, how? How's that possible? So I'll just say something and then say, how's that possible? But I'm saying that someone else would say that. But I don't have someone next to me saying, what did you just say? What do you mean? I didn't get that last part. And Lucifer wants to call me stupid, mentally challenged. When, I don't know, because I've listened to some of my videos before, and the way I talk is weird because I won't say, someone might say this. And then I'll be like, and then I'll, like a skit. Like, I've seen people on YouTube do skits where they have themselves dressed as like 4 or 5 different people all talking to each other. And I'll do that, but I'm one person saying it, and I can't really put on different clothes and do that. I can't do all that when I just have a phone and a laptop. So I'm really just working with what I got. And I guess maybe it made me look stupid, or maybe it made me hard to understand. But that's me. And they thought Hayden Lonsdale was brain dead, mentally challenged, spoke a different language. I mean, to me, that's like me doing a psychological analysis in a lecture. I mean, I've said some pretty intelligent stuff on YouTube, but I mean, off of YouTube, I've said more and less intelligent stuff. But either way, just at least not mentally challenged. And that's like, to me, it's like a little girl or boy coming in and being like, you're speaking a different language. I don't understand you. That's the way I think about Lucifer and the devils and the Illuminati. It's like they don't understand religion. It scares them too much. They go into denial and think it's a different language. Religion, they don't understand how they're like, because they think of themselves as political masterminds, like the coronavirus and communism. The coronavirus, communism is like one of the horsemen. Think about it like that. That might be a way that you humans can conceptualize what I'm talking about. It's like one of the things that brought about the apocalypse was coronavirus and communism. I mean, there's people in school like, yeah, communism. It's like, do you know anything about communism? I mean, changing. It's like, I don't even know how to explain it, because there's so many people that will get butthurt over what I'm saying when it's just God and Jesus saying communism doesn't work, but God does. Equality, some forms of equity works. Gender and stuff like that. It's like communism, some form of what the far left liberals are doing is a Trojan horse for authoritarianism and just torturing all of you. It's just Satan. I'm sorry to say it, but it's just Satan. People have even said before, that some people have said that communism is the trick of the devil. It's like there was a bunch of people that were growing good farming in Russia, and they got labeled as zero class. They weren't a class anymore, the kulaks. And they all starved to death because they had to give all their food to the cities. And 6 million of them, or even more, all starved to death just to feed the cities. And the cities got a little bit more food, but then they all starved to death. I mean, there's stuff like that. It's like, I know it's just one example, but God, everyone would be equal and happy and supported. I mean, people praying to God, I can see why people would think it sounds culty. Like, oh, God, if you just let him in your heart, oh, he'll guide you. It's like, I understand why people think that's delusional, because it almost is, except for the fact I'm here now, and that once I'm in control, it wouldn't be delusional. If you were praying to me, all you would have to do is imagine if I was in control and I was king of all the worlds, the Son of Man, Jesus, with Alpha and the Omega, the white horse who was made to judge and rule, and like the child, the man child who is to rule all nations with a rod of iron. That's me. And if someone was in need of guidance and help and extra support, they could just imagine there's a button in someone's house, boop, and it's like, and be like, I'll get to you as soon as I can. Be that easy. I mean, that's the thing that people don't realize. Now, before, it's like, because don't you think that's evil? Duh. Yeah, imagine, I don't know what to do. I want to find a perfect God that all humans can believe in. Because don't you think that's evil that humans would have sex or eat mushrooms, the apple or whatever, and knowledge, or whatever, you guys might view the apple as, because there's many stories about it. But whichever one you believe, do you really think it's okay for God to give humans to evil demons because two humans did something wrong? If anyone thinks I'm like that, then you obviously must think I'm evil, and that's offensive, and that's horrible, and that's disgusting to me. It's offensive. I don't understand why people think if you were to view God the right way, just think of a very good, fair, and kind, rational, but fierce when need be, king. That's all you have to think of. I mean, I wouldn't hurt someone if they didn't know about me. I'm not gonna hurt. I mean, Muslims. I'm not gonna hurt Muslims. As far as I'm concerned, they're doing God's work. As far as I'm concerned, Jews are doing God's work, or Jewish people. As far as I'm concerned, the Chinese people are doing God's work, and even the people in the government are just brainwashed. And some of the ideas I actually like about the CCP, a social credit system used in the right way. I mean, it's like, I don't know, like what if you do chores, you can then you get extra points. You get money off taxes if you do your chores. If you do your chores, it leads to a more productive society. I mean, crazy, they perverted what could have been a good social credit system for their evil, greedy ways. I could take ideas from all of the stuff that humans did and all the stuff that Satan did for evil and turn it into something good easily. I mean, turning off the internet. Imagine, it's like, I don't want everyone that's on the internet all day, every day. It's like, I mean, the seven deadly sins, the 10 commandments. That's not too much to ask for. Never said you can never lay down. Never said you could never get angry. Never said you could never look at a girl. Never said you could never, or a boy, or never said you could never have sex. And what, you want to read Leviticus and say God hates gay people? That doesn't, not in the 10 commandments, not in the 7 deadly sins. And then what else? Like some stuff about slaves and stuff. Humans had slaves before there were even white people. Humans had slavery embedded in them through war and not knowing each other. And a lot of times like even racism, it's being not familiar with something makes people feel a feeling that can snowball an avalanche and be led into through normal activities or life, and also through manipulation tactics into racism and divisiveness. So a lot of what people think of as racism, the precursor to racism is just someone being different, someone wearing different hats than you. Imagine if society was like, oh, there's only 2 types of hats and 4 types of hats in society. There's the circle hats, the square hats, the circle square hats, and the square circle hats. I know that sounds weird, the last 2, square, circle, circle, square. I mean, like, imagine a circle hat, a square hat, and then like a circle hat that leads into a square, and then like a square hat that leads into like some sort of circle. And it's like they'd probably all look at each other a little different. Imagine if they each had their own culture. Imagine if they each had their own ways of living. Imagine if everyone was white, or if everyone was black, but everyone had these different hats. The different hats would be like, I don't like people with those hats. They remind me of bad things. I don't like people with those hats. I like people with those hats. These people with these hats don't kind of make sense, but they don't. You'd subconsciously start, like, racism can be inherited, like, throughout family. It can also be learned. It could be given to you. I mean, it can be, some people can get into racism innocently, like, oh, that joke was funny. And after a while, they see TV and they don't know black people, or they don't know white people. Imagine being raised where you don't know black people, but you just see TV. Imagine being like, well, black people are like that, and I see them as being crime and this and that, or being raised in the ghetto and you don't know white people, and you just all you know is, well, they had us as slaves. I only know black people around me. They had us as slaves and this and that. That sounds evil. I don't want to meet a white person. That sounds gross. That's horrible. That's disgusting. They had slaves. And then you also got to think that was many years ago, and I highly doubt like embedded underlying racism. I understand that underlying racism can be real, but I think it should be treated like a disease and a mental illness and a victim. I mean, if you were raised in a family where your dad or mom was racist and you inherited some racism from them, you should be treated with love, kindness, and respect, and you should be shown that other races can all be good as yours. You shouldn't be treated with stones and rocks. I mean, this is stuff that I'm literally Jesus telling you that. And I mean, it can get a bit far fetched to think something like that from your point of view. Because I mean, what if someone literally says the N word all day? Or what for white people, like the H word, not honky? I don't know. Maybe that's bad to say. I mean, I think that's less bad, honestly. But that doesn't mean that we should just raise up that word and start saying honky so much that it becomes as bad, or it becomes near as bad, or the intention is as bad, or it shouldn't be a word at all. I mean, neither should the N word in a way. I mean, maybe black people shouldn't be using the N word because it's almost like they're victimizing themselves. Satan and people who don't know they're doing it, and some people who know they're working with Satan or think that Satan's an alien, or some people think that Satan's me right now when they're not. It's not Jesus. I bet they pulled out 1 Corinthians and some part of Romans and talked about how we're all Jesus. That's something I want to be able to say, where I'm the brain of the world and the universe, and everyone else can be my ligaments and my members. And I even said my members when I was talking about my body, because we should view each other as one big living organism. And that doesn't mean that everyone's Jesus. It means you can all be part of me. A human who is religious would understand that, but Lucifer wants to think they're the bigger part of Jesus. They want to think they're the brain. They're in trouble for wanting to be me. I cast myself down on purpose to save everyone. They're going to get cast down. They were never angels. They're their own hype men. They were never angels. They're just evil demons that want to pedophilize your children. They want to control you. They want to use you as slaves. I mean, who invented slavery? Humans kind of did. But the thing is who was in power in the 1700s and the 1500s and all that? Satan was. So who condoned the slavery? Satan. Who was working with Satan and living with Satan? Rich people. So who's to blame? Rich people and Satan. Who condoned the rich people doing that to other humans? Satan. So who's to blame? Satan. Satan is to blame for slavery, not white people. Now I want to know if there's anyone black here, or African American, or colored. I haven't said I'm going to be the king of the world one day, the Alpha and the Omega. What if I was giving a speech to all black people? Or say I was in an area where there's predominantly black people. How do I address them all? What do I say? I mean, I would much rather just say all humans, but there's specific conversations that I might have to address to the African American, black, colored people. And colored, I thought, was a term. Isn't that a term that's being brought back now? It's like everyone's just trying to be so different and stuff like that. And it's something that all humans need. All humans have an inherent feeling to be different, or viewed different, or be noticed, or like represented. And stuff like that is being taken advantage of and idolized too much. There's many different feelings and ways of being in human life that are being idolized too much, especially this new agey type stuff of this far left stuff is like snake oil. It sounds good on the surface, but it doesn't work in the end. Same with communism, same with other things in life, same with even the far right stuff. But Satan is closely connected to victimizing and manipulating the far left. That's why I would never want to be grouped in with far right. I would never want to be grouped in with even conservatives or far left. I don't represent the conservatives or the not conservatives, the liberals or the not liberals. I don't represent the white people, the black people, the anyone. I mean, what about the Slavic people? They're white. but would you count them as white? I mean, when the far left people usually talk about white, they're talking about colonizers, people they view or label, which I don't like labels, colonizers. They're talking about when a normal far left person, I think, is what I've gathered from them, talk about white people, they're usually talking about people they view as colonizers, usually talking about American white people. What about Serbian people? What about Russian people? What about I mean, do you not understand what I mean? Why you can't just label everyone as a color? That's stupid. We're not Skittles. You can't just separate humans into skin colors. What about Irish people? I mean, I'm not saying this just because I inherited an Irish body that I downloaded myself into. I don't know if you've seen my past videos, but what about it doesn't even make any sense. I mean, what about you want to say brown people, black people? Well, you has Spanish people never went, oh, not Spanish. Well, people that are brown. If you were to label people as black, brown, Asian, it's like some Asians don't want to be labeled Asian because there's some people that would rather be Chinese and not Korean or Japanese, or Japanese and not Korean or Chinese. They might get offended. You go up to a Chinese person, call them Japanese, that might be offensive. That might not be inclusive. That might not be representing them. So you're going to group them in as Asian? That's not okay. White adjacent Asian? That just because they have a culture that predestines them more often than not to be more successful because they're more often than not raised stricter, and which makes them usually more successful and smart because of their culture that backs them. I mean, think about humans as being like a machine, like the machine, like Pink Floyd, like Rush Out, like the episode of Rick and Morty where he has sex with the planet, Gaia. I mean, if every single human was spit out of some metaphorical machine, what guides humans after they're born? And it's not just their parents, it's also who their parents have been around, who raised their parents. What school did you go to? Where did you grow up? What type of kids or classmates did you have? What was the culture there? What was the environmental factors? What was your genetics? What was your DNA? What diseases did you have? What disease did your parent have? I mean, to label things as just race alone is insane, especially with this whole white people, white guilt thing. I mean, why would Irish people feel guilty if they just got here? I'm not saying me. I'm saying Irish. Maybe there's a reason why Jesus Christ came back Irish. There's like, why would white people that are Irish, why would an Irish person who is called white by people, labeled white, feel guilty? I mean, we should all be mindful and grateful and feel sad for what anyone in society, especially people who have slavery in their ancestry, just like the Irish people, have been through. But the human experience that we all go through, I mean, you should never guilt someone. That doesn't help. I mean, sitting down with the video, Dimitro and Mirez, it's like these two people on YouTube, and I mean, I feel like it's almost like, I mean, does it help that they're also? I mean, does it help that they're African American? And I think they go by African American. I think they call themselves black, really, but that's how they like to identify, I guess. And they're making fun of another woman that I don't know how she identifies, but she called all white people demons. That's much more than an over exaggeration, an over generalization, and a label that can go from bad to worse to Nazi Germany or communist Russia or something even worse than that when you combine, oh, I don't know, not just Hitler or Stalin, an actual real cabal of evil demons that are trying to promote this type of mentality to make white people, people who are called white people who are called black people, hate each other, and also drag in Asian people. Like at first, I don't know, I guess we're gonna have to go into a part two with this one maybe.